History has witnessed many kings who shook the world with their armies. But none was like him. Sitting upon the golden throne of Jerusalem, this ruler did not just command men. The winds changed direction at his whim, jinns unburied treasures from the depths of the earth for him, and birds formed a massive army, casting a shield of shade over his head. He was Prophet Solomon. Yet, on that very morning, at the absolute peak of his power, a sudden and chilling silence gripped the palace. Solomon's sharp eyes scanned the avian army in the court. Everyone was there, except for one. The army's most critical intelligence officer was missing. Solomon's voice echoed through the marble pillars. Why do I not see the Hoopoe? If he does not bring me a clear, shattering excuse, I will punish him with a severe torment. Or I will surely execute him. This fury from the highest throne was the calm before a devastating storm. Where was the Hoopoe? Was there any place on earth to hide from the Sultan's wrath? At that exact moment, a small speck appeared on the distant horizon. Exhausted, its wings trembling, the Hoopoe landed before the majestic presence of the Sultan. He knew his death warrant had been signed. But in his eyes, there was no fear, only the thrill of carrying a secret that could alter the course of history. He bowed his head and spoke in a shaking yet defiant voice. "O my Sultan! I have encompassed that which you have not encompassed. I have come to you from the land of Sheba, with certain and undeniable news." Solomon forgot his anger and leaned forward on his throne. What could a tiny bird possibly discover that the great Sultan did not know? The Hoopoe continued. "I found a woman ruling over them. She has been given everything a monarch could desire. And most importantly, she possesses a magnificent, breathtaking throne. But my Sultan, they are in deep darkness. They have forsaken God and prostrate to the sun every morning. Satan has made their deeds seem fair to them. Wealth, absolute power, and spiritual blindness. The children of the sun and their enigmatic queen, Bilqis." Solomon had to find out if this tiny bird was telling the truth or spinning a tale to save its life. He immediately unrolled a scroll and penned a letter that would change history. "Be you not arrogant against me, but come to me in submission." Solomon sealed the letter and handed it to the Hoopoe. "Go, drop this into their palace. Then watch. Let us see how they react. Will they choose war, or surrender?" When the letter mysteriously dropped into the lap of Queen Bilqis hundreds of miles away, a shockwave rippled through the palace of Sheba. Bilqis immediately summoned her powerful, battle-hardened commanders. The generals, filled with pride, struck the hilts of their swords. "We are possessors of great might and fierce in war. Let us fight," they declared. But Bilqis was not just a beautiful queen, she was a brilliant strategist. She knew how kings laid waste to countries they invaded. She needed time to figure Solomon out. To test whether he was a mere worldly king or a true prophet, she set a dangerous trap. "I will send him," Bilqis said, "gifts of unimaginable splendor, tons of gold and dazzling jewels. If he is just an ordinary king, this wealth will blind him, and he will leave us in peace." Days later, when the envoys of Bilqis arrived at Solomon's palace, they thought they had played a masterstroke. But the moment they stepped inside, their knees buckled. The floors, the walls, and even the garments of Solomon's servants were far more valuable than the gold they brought. Solomon did not even glance at the chests of treasure. Solomon turned to the envoys, his voice booming like thunder. "Do you provide me with wealth? What God has given me is far better than what he has given you. No, it is you who rejoice in your gift. Go back to your queen and tell her, we will surely come to them with forces they cannot resist. And we will drive them out from there in disgrace." The envoys fled without looking back. Bilqis's mind game had utterly collapsed. Now, she had only one choice left, to travel to Jerusalem herself and submit to this unstoppable power. Now, we arrive at the very moment that defies human comprehension, the scene that will keep everyone glued to the screen. Solomon received word that Bilqis was on her way in submission. However, he wanted to show her something before she ever set foot in his palace, something that would completely shatter her perception of reality. Solomon wanted her famous, heavily guarded, multi-ton throne brought from Sheba. Before the queen arrived, that throne had to be in his hall. Solomon turned to his court. "Which of you can bring me her throne before they come to me in submission?" An Ifrit from among the jinns stepped forward, his eyes burning with fire. "I will bring it to you before you rise from your place. And indeed, I am powerful enough and trustworthy for it." This meant a matter of just a few hours. It was an incredible speed. But no. Solomon needed an even greater miracle. At that exact moment, from the corner of the hall, a man stepped forward. Not a jinn, but a human. His weapon was not brute force, but knowledge from the scripture. He locked eyes with Solomon and uttered the sentence that bent time itself. "I will bring it to you, before your glance returns to you." Solomon blinked, and opened his eyes. It was unbelievable. Seconds ago, it was hundreds of miles away behind locked doors. Now, the massive, jewel-encrusted throne of Sheba was standing right there, in the middle of the hall. Teleportation had occurred. Space had bent, time had stood still. Solomon immediately fell into prostration. "This is from the favor of my lord." Later that day, Queen Bilqis arrived at the palace, filled with immense curiosity and anxiety. To test her intellect, Solomon had the appearance of her throne slightly altered. They led her to it and asked, "Is your throne like this?" Bilqis was dumbfounded. It looked exactly like her throne, but that was impossible. She murmured in bewilderment, "It is as if it were it." But the ultimate shock was waiting for her in the next hall. Solomon invited her into a special pavilion. As Bilqis was about to step inside, she suddenly froze. Fear washed over her face, and she tucked up her skirt, baring her shins. For right in front of her, she saw a deep, rippling body of water. She thought she would drown or get soaked if she stepped forward. Solomon smiled gently and spoke the words that would echo through eternity. "Do not fear, Bilqis. It is not water. It is a palace floor smoothly paved with sheets of glass." Bilqis stood frozen. The power before her was not just that of a king with massive armies, it was a divine science that commanded nature, time, matter, and technology. Her own power was nothing compared to Solomon's wisdom. The walls of her mind and her heart crumbled at the exact same time. She cast aside her pride, her crown, and her throne. She bowed her head, and with tears streaming from her eyes, she cried out, "My lord! Indeed, I have wronged myself by worshipping the sun. And now, I submit with Solomon to the Lord of the worlds." And so, the greatest war in history, where no armies clashed, no blood was spilled, and only wisdom, miracles, and intellect spoke, ended by conquering the heart of a single queen. Leaving behind only the legend of the throne that conquered time.